The Jasper City Council upholds recommendations from the Utility Board concerning settlement with Healthy DuBois County. Outgoing Ferdinand Town Manager Mark Stedzik joins me to talk about his accomplishments and what the future holds. And Kurt Gooksell previews Jasper football ahead in sports. Those stories and much more are up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news, last night the Jasper City Council upheld a recommendation made earlier this week by the Jasper Utility Service Board to reject Healthy DuBois County's settlement offer concerning the conversion of the city's power plant to biomass. The settlement letter sent by Healthy DuBois County had 5 conditions in it, but Jasper Mayor Terry Seitz says none of those conditions were in line with the city's interests. He says the city will now move forward with the process of negotiating with Healthy DuBois County.
You know, what I think what was heard tonight is that the council has chosen to follow a recommendation from the Utility Service Board presented by Council Bill Kaiser tonight to authorize negotiations for a settlement out of court.
The biggest point of contention for the city concerning that settlement letter was the request that the city admit it violated the open door law with some of the meetings that it held on the plant, which was ultimately leased to Twisted Oak Corporation. Other conditions in the letter included reimbursement of legal fees, admitting that the city underestimated the health effects of the facility, and abandoning the biomass project altogether. The City Council also gave Attorney Bill Kaiser the authority to begin settlement negotiations with Healthy DuBois County, upholding another part of the Utility Board's decision from its Monday meeting. The city plans to propose termination of the litigation with prejudice, meaning that the case could not be refiled, and that both parties would pay their own legal fees. Also at last night's meeting, the council decided to hold off on selling several surplus properties within the city, following a recommendation from the Park Board to do so until a plan for the properties can be figured out. Seitz says a decision on selling the properties was not necessarily an urgent matter.
As part of the purchase of the country club property, we knew we had some leverage with some other properties. We've gone to the point right now of bringing them to the council and for a decision to be made. The Park Board has recommended not selling anything until the plans get made. The Board of Works by state code has to review that and did and said we have no problem with selling any of them, but a decision does not have to be made now.
One specific parcel of land on the southeast corner of 15th and Newton that the city owns from street expansion was put up for sale at last night's meeting. Seitz says there has been interest expressed in that small portion of land, leading to the city moving ahead with the sale of it. Finally, last night, the council heard a presentation from Doug Woodard of Advanced Furniture Testing of Holland, Michigan. Advanced Furniture Testing recently received approval for a tax phase-in from the Jasper Economic Development Commission. Seitz says the company started up several years ago, and the presence of Jasper Group played a key role in luring the company to Jasper.
The whole idea was establishing roots in Jasper with an expansion of his company would be using an existing building that's not being used and also servicing our local manufacturing base. Currently, he mentioned Jasper Group is a significant client, and they were the driving factor in him coming here because they are looking at taking testing of furniture out of house.
The Economic Development Commission recommended an 8-year abatement, which would include 6 years of 100% abatement and a phase-in of taxes over the final 2 years. The company plans to purchase as much as $200,000 in new equipment for the laboratory. The new lab will be put in place in warehouse space that the company plans to lease along the 700 block of East 13th Street. The council made a declaratory resolution at last night's meeting, meaning that the council has declared that area in need of revitalization. A final decision is expected to be made at next month's council meeting. Opening arguments were scheduled to begin today in the third murder trial of a former Indiana State Trooper charged with killing his wife and their 2 young children at their southern Indiana home back in 2000. David Cam has been convicted in the deaths twice and has spent much of the last 13 years behind bars, despite appeals court rulings overturning both of his convictions. Experts say a recent ruling allowing submission of DNA evidence from another man could help clear Cam this time around. Charles Boney is serving 225 years in the case. Prosecutors contend that Boney was Cam's accomplice. The trials have cost more than $4 million to date. This trial was moved to Lebanon, Indiana, which is about 25 miles northwest of Indianapolis, in hopes of finding an impartial jury. The second trial in this case was held in Boonville in Warwick County back in 2005. Coming up after the break, my conversation with Ferdinand Town Manager Mark Stedzik, plus your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform featuring Bird's Eye Picnic Committee members Kelly Wiseman and Chester Bear. That's all up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.